Hi, my name is Jeannie Ting. I'm the Executive Officer for the Avengers Initiative Northern California branch. I cosplay as the Wasp and USO Girl, as well as Hawk Girl from DC Universe, and I'm also an R2 builder as well. My professional job is a medical doctor specializing in child and adolescent psychiatry, forensics, as well as addiction medicine. I've been doing this for a few years as well. So I'll be also the one, the co-moderator for the group. And I'll hand it over to my other moderator, Jeff.
All right, guys. Like she said, my name is Jeff. I am a firefighter. I am the Northern California membership officer for the Avengers Initiative. And I cosplay as Captain America. I will be handing it back to Jeannie. She will introduce all of our panel and our panelists, and then she will go ahead and start off with the questions. Jeannie, back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, so the first one will be Tony. Can you please introduce yourself and tell me briefly what you do?
Yes, my name is Tony Wills. I'm a member of the Avengers Initiative. I cosplay as Spider-Man and Black Panther. And also I do Darth Maul, Jango Fett, Captain Rex as well. As my job, my everyday job, I'm a pediatrician over at Kaiser Permanente up in South Sacramento. And I've been doing this for about 5.5 years now.
Okay, thank you very much, Tony. Next will be Tom Marshall.
Hi, I'm Tom Marshall. I'm a retired law enforcement detective and now a full-time cosplayer. I'm with the Avengers Initiative, West Coast Avengers. I also belong to the Sci-Fi Coalition of the San Diego chapter, doing other charitable functions. I play Captain America, both Civil War and Endgame, Spider-Man Noir, and my new cosplay, the Marshal from Mandalorian.
All right, thank you, Tom. And next will be Marco.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marco Guzman. I am the creator of Chosen One Apparel, as well as a healthcare professional. I supervise multiple specialty departments for Sutter and Northern California. I cosplay Miles Morales and the many suits that Spider-Man has, and I've been doing that for about 5 years.
Thank you, Marco.
You're welcome.
Next, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda Negron. I am a high school teacher, well, used to be until kid number 4 came along. Now I'm a stay-at-home mom. We've got 5. I've been cosplaying with West Coast Avengers Southern California branch for about 1.5 years now. I am primarily Black Widow, but also I once in a while bring Sarah Sanderson out in the fall, and once in a while I also bring out Queen Elsa.
Thank you, Amanda. Tom Negron.
Hi, I'm Thomas Negron. I'm also West Coast Avengers. Been doing it for about almost 2 years. I go as the Winter Soldier. Currently working on an Iron Man suit, but that's taken a while. So right now, this is the only one I have. Professionally, I'm a elementary school teacher, specializing in special education.
So my team and I recently did a visit for Children's Hospital of Orange County, both for inpatient kids who are being treated along with an outpatient event. And these kids are going through a very difficult time. I got to dress up as Captain America. I'm busy watching my team and stuff like that, and I'll take pictures with people. A few times, which just hit me, a kid just runs up to me below my knee. I didn't see him. They give me a hug. They just wrapped their arms around my leg, and they're just genuinely happy to see me. I'm just reminded, this is a chance for these kids to experience something very joyful in their lives.
My first experience was amazing. I actually wasn't a member for my first experience, but I was recruited to be Tony for a toy drive that we were doing. So I had never been to one of these before, but seeing the kids and reacting with them, and the hospital staff was amazing. It really beyond words.
Especially because they're going through so much. And if we can give them a little bit of a break just from real life stuff, that means the world. I remember that when I was a kid. It was just magical. I would be on air for months. And so I hope these kids maybe feel the same way, but yeah. with Marvel having been so inclusive with their lineup of superheroes, every child can see themselves in a superhero regardless of race or gender or ethnicity. So it's always been such a great experience seeing them see themselves in you and just, oh my God, like that's Spider Girl. I could be a Spider Girl, and then they, I'll sometimes see them, run around. We love to get them to do the little poses with us, and that's just so much fun.
Everybody has time if they really make it a priority. You have time to watch TV. You have time to go to the movies. Everybody at least has an hour or two that they can give back. If everybody gave back just a little bit, the world would be just that much better.
All right, thank you, Thomas. So now I'm going to start with some leading questions for Tony. Can you briefly explain what is a pediatrician and what do you do in your field?
Sure. So pediatricians only take care of children. So we take care of children starting right when they're born. And that pretty much lasts until they're 18, sometimes 21, depending on where you're located. And we deal with everything from all the childhood illnesses, from the common cold to sore throats to even cancer diagnoses as well as just making sure that a kid is growing and developing appropriately as they move towards adulthood.
Right, thank you, Tony. Another question is, what have you been able to do to help out with arranging for pediatric community service work at your facility?
Well, the main thing is trying to be a liaison with all the other groups that are local, at least in my area. Having cosplayed quite a bit, I've gotten to know a lot of people out in the community and a lot of different groups as well. And they have been able to help me interact with the people who are in the leadership in those groups. And basically what you need to have done is their leadership needs to be able to talk with the people who are running the hospital to make sure things work out in terms of the scheduling and making sure that pretty much everything's just going to run smoothly and that the kids will have a wonderful experience.
Thank you, Tony. Also, what kind of things have you noticed involving the volunteer cosplayers when interacting with the children at the hospital?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that the kids tend to light up and forget what's happening to them at the moment. When a kid's in the hospital, they're basically uprooted from their normal activities and their environment and placed into an area that's very foreign to them, sometimes very scary, and sometimes can be very traumatizing to them. What the cosplayers are able to do is to help them forget all of that. And at that moment, envision just being around another superhero that's just come to life to them and have their own personal moment to engage them, interact with them, and basically be a kid and have some fun.
Thank you. And what have you noticed as far as things changing and adaptation that were done since 2020 and 2021 during this trying times?
Well, it's definitely unprecedented. We've never encountered anything like this, at least during my career of almost 14 years. Basically, we had to go to everything virtual. That's just from our clinical work and how we deal with diseases to how do we interact with the kids who have to stay in the hospital for long periods of time. That didn't change in terms of interacting with cosplayers as well. So a lot of it really has been a lot of the virtual work that the cosplayers have done, either submitting well wishes, reading books to them, actually having live video visits as well. All of those things have been very imperative in terms of keeping up the work that a lot of cosplayers do in these hospital settings.
Thank you very much, Tony. And I'm going to next hand it over to Jeff.
So while we're on you, Tony, I'm going to pick on you just a little bit more. And I'll go ahead with, so we know what you do and how you got started in that, but I have to know, how did you get started in cosplay? I know you troop, I know you dress up in Marvel suits. How did you get that start? And just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, it's because of another friend, actually. So I knew once I finished my training that I wanted to give back to the community in some way. And I always thought it would be that I would return and volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club or do some Big Brother work. One of my best friends that I went to training with was a huge a Star Wars fan, and basically said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to go trooping and visit hospitals as a stormtrooper. And I was like, well, you're not going to do this alone, so I'll do it with you. And pretty much the bug bit from there, from my first time visiting kids as another character.
So if you had to, I guess, tell people that are watching this, how would you recommend people get involved? Kind of like, you did, if they wanted to help out and give back to the community, visit children, what would you say to them?
Definitely panels like this are definitely a plus. That's actually how I got more information, was from a panel at a convention a long time ago. Just reaching out to other members. If you're either going to their websites, going to our club websites, or once we start having in-person cons again, going up to tables and just start asking questions and seeing if it's the right feel for you.
Awesome. And I guess to piggyback on that, and this is a two-part question, it's kind of a loaded question. How do you prepare for a charity visit, specifically like hospital visits? I know we see a lot, and there's a lot of rules and things we have to adhere to. So how do you prepare for that? And then also, if you have just a brief story of something that stood out to you in a visit, we'd love to hear it.
One, just knowing what's expected of me. You're right, there's a lot of rules that happen inside the hospital. And so knowing what those rules are, and basically that's going to probably fall on the person who's coordinating the event. Other than that, no other expectations but to try to have fun. The more fun that I'm having, I'm sure the more fun that the kids are having as well. And as for your other question, which you'll have to repeat for me.
Oh, just if there's any moment that stood out to you, visiting a child or going to a hospital or a charity visit that just really stood out to you, just gripped you, and you're like, wow, this is why I do it.
Yes, so there was one visit where we were leaving the hospital, actually, and there was, we saw multiple kids in a lot of different settings, but a grandmother came running out of the hospital, basically very teary-eyed, wanting to thank us, saying that was the most animated, the most energetic that she had seen her grandchild in a long time, and it meant the world to her to be able to see that happen for her kid who's been in the hospital for a while.
Awesome. Hey, Tony, we appreciate it, man. So I'm going to go ahead and go back over to Tom Marshall. Tom, if you could just go ahead and let us know, how did you become involved in cosplay and giving back and doing charity events for kids? And why did you choose to do this and get involved?
I've always been the kind of person that, couldn't just go to a Halloween costume place and get a costume. I always had to build it or put it together and make it elaborate. And I love doing that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until my daughter started working her career in the industry, pop culture and comic industry, that I got to go to my first Comic-Con, and I saw other people, walking around in costume, and learned that was cosplay. And I'm like, well, I do that. And I didn't know there was a name for it. So I had always been involved in doing that kind of stuff. And then also in my career, wearing a uniform and dealing with children as a police officer, with the badge and all that, and helping kids and being involved in charity functions through the police department. I wanted to do the same thing as far as my cosplay experience. So I found that there was the Avengers Initiative, and I put in my app for West Coast Adventures, and I started going to do the children's hospitals and other charity functions, and I really, really enjoy it.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about how you get prepared. How do you get in the mindset to be Captain America when you're seeing these kids and visiting the kids, and just kind of walk me through your process?
Well, with with taking quite a long time to actually put on a Captain America outfit that's, real movie accurate, and that it takes a while. And it's getting in the mindset, it's getting into character, which I know a lot of us, that's what we do. And just as Marco had mentioned, that we have to start preparing ourselves that we're going to be seeing children that don't feel well and could be scared of us, because some of us are wearing masks or helmets and stuff and they can't see our face, so they're probably apprehensive. So you have to prepare for that, to not go right up on them and scare them, and that you kind of wait for them to come to you and approach you, and then generally that's when you get the hugs and you get the photo ops, and I let them hold my shield, and they really love that and stuff. And it's a true blessing and a reward to be able to be involved in something like that.
Well, since we're talking about the hugs and the stuff that we love to get, I know you've got a story of a moment that's touched you, or an interaction or a moment that you're like, what, this is why I got into it, and we got to hear it.
Yeah, it was at we were at the Shriners Children's Hospital, and a little boy had approached me, and he's kind of just staring at me, and I'm waving at him, and then he just comes up and he says, "Are you for real?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm real. I'm Cap." And I go, "How's it going, man?" And then I kneeled down and I put out my fist for a fist bump, and he just lit up. He was just glowing. He just couldn't believe it. And then came up and gave me a hug and did the photos and stuff with him, and talked a little bit. He just couldn't believe it, that I'm not on the screen. I'm actually physically there, and that just totally made his day.
Hey, well, Tom, we appreciate it, and we're gonna go ahead and move on over to Marco. I'm about to put you on the hot seat. All right,
let's do it.
My first question for you is the same. How did you get started in cosplay? I know you've been doing it for a long time. To share with us how you got into it and why you do it.
So I actually got into it by dressing up for my daughter's birthday party. We did a superhero themed birthday party, and I've always wanted to be Spider-Man, and I purchased a suit, and it was okay quality. It wasn't your high class quality that I have now, but when I put on the suit, I looked at my hands and I was, man, this suit feels so real. Like I feel like I'm Spider-Man. And I think that's where I got the bug. I did a Relay for Life event as Spider-Man, and I think that's when I connected with the West Coast Avengers.
Okay.
And they looked at me and they said, "Hey, do you belong to a group, or do you do this often?" And I looked at them in their suits. It was a Thor and Captain America suit, and they looked really great. So I said, well, I don't think my suit is that quality, but I would love to do some community events. And that's pretty much how it started for me, after I realized the quality of suits out there.
Right.
And the upgrading was really nice, and that's kind of how it started.
Okay. If you had to, give advice to people, how to get involved and how to give back. I know you are really big about community, and you really like to give back. What would you tell everybody who's watching the best way to go about starting off like that?
Well, to do the cosplay community event, you really have to have the heart, I think, the personality, and the ability to give back. Many times you have to stay in character, so it's not really you in that suit, you're playing the character. I know one thing I always do is I stay in character the minute I zip up and put that facial on. I don't take it off to drink water. I don't take it off behind the scenes. I literally stay in character. I try to make sure my body language is the same as the movie character, just so the person that I'm talking to can really feel like it's real. And just connecting with an organization like ours, Avengers Initiative and the West Coast Avengers have done something really nice. And when I realized the organization mission statement, that's when I realized that this is something I wanted to do. So just looking at any avenue to give back to the community, doing it in a way where you can dress up as cosplay as your favorite character. And like the team has said, brighten up kids' faces has been the best part. But I think just having the heart to give back to the community, regardless of what you get in return, is pretty much the most important part, I would say.
And I will echo that. I have literally seen you stay in costume until your Spider-Man face mask has left the worst looking indents on your head I've ever seen. And
Yeah.
I probably would have given up a long time ago because that looked painful.
It's painful, but you got to do what you got to do.
Amen to that. So I'm sure you've got a story, man. Give me your best story, a moment that touched you, that just really stood out to you visiting a kids or a hospital or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had multiple events where, it touches your heart, but I think the biggest one was the Shriners Hospital. We went to a burn clinic in Sacramento.
Okay.
And there was a lot of kids that were in there, and you're kind of taken aback because you see people that are really burned and really injured. And the Shriners Hospital was taking care of them. It was a group of a lot of Avengers that went there that day. One thing that we found out is the group of kids did not speak English. They spoke Spanish. And when I realized, I'm like, oh my God, these they don't understand what we're saying. So then I quickly raised my hand and said, hey, I speak Spanish. And I was able to go from Spider-Man to Hombre Araña, which is Spider-Man in Spanish. And the kids just lit up, the parents lit up because they realized that, hey, he speaks Spanish. And it was just an amazing moment when you realize, hey, there's diversity in this piece of cosplay that sometimes doesn't get looked at. So I stayed in character in full Spanish, and I was able to translate with my fellow Avengers, and just seeing the kids light up, and they were not from this country, they're from a different country in the United States receiving care, to connect with those kids with the language barrier. It just really showed me the power of the suit and even being prepared for the diversity that sometimes it's not really out there in the comic world.
Right. Hey, well, Marco, we appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Amanda, you're up next. My Black Widow of the group. Give us a quick rundown. How did you get started doing child visits and doing pediatric cosplay?
Well, our why is a little bit different. We've been on the other side. Our third child, who's almost 11, had an accident right before he turned 1 and had 2nd and 3rd degree burns and required skin graft surgery. So we've been burn ward parents, and it was the worst week of our lives. And from that point, with the care he got, and just, if there are angels in heaven, they're nurses. And the hospital volunteers were just wonderful. And from that point on, I was determined that we were going to find a way to give back for that care and that love that we received, and especially that our son received.
Wow.
So, it was a lot. And a couple of years ago, made a friend who now is our Southern California membership officer, Jen Athey.
Okay.
And started talking, and she knew I was working on a Black Widow suit. She goes, "Yeah, when you get that done, I've got something for you." And I said, "Oh." And so one thing led to another, and then came to a meeting and brought Tom and the kids, and we said, "Yep, this is it. This is definitely what we want to do."
That's awesome.
And we've been busy ever since.
Hey, that's so cool, and especially that you guys do it together as a couple is really awesome. You guys already have such an incredible story of how you were touched by the system. Have you guys ever had a really cool, unique experience where a kid came up to you guys and you just kind of felt like that blessing, like, I don't know, like you got that, like you know what, this is it, this is why I wanted to give back?
Oh, I've had several, but there are two actually really fast that jump out to me. Both of them were at burn center events. Those are really what make my heart sing.
Yeah.
One was at a Christmas burn center event where a little girl, where we were doing our best power Black Widow poses, and she told me, "I feel pretty for the first time since my accident." And that was everything I could do to keep the Siberian cold front and not burst into tears.
Wow.
I held it till we got the car.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, you have to say
It's very hard to do.
You're making me I'm getting emotional, and I wasn't even there.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh, you're fine.
And then about 2 weeks later, we had our second burn center. It was the UC Irvine Burn Center. We had little 2-year-old twins, And the one twin just wanted Spider-Man. She came up to me, she goes, Black Widow, where's Spider-Man? I said, all right, I'll introduce you to Spider-Man. Come on, he's my friend. And the other twin, Black Widow, you my favorite. And she jumped and she just threw her arms around my neck. And our photographer caught the picture. And it's my lock screen on my phone still. It was this beautiful picture of just absolute bliss, and it was wonderful. And this is why we do what we do.
I think you need to send us that picture. That would be awesome.
Yep, I will do that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, then, since I've got you both on the screen, Tom, I'm gonna flip over to you, Tom Negron.
All right.
So I kind of got the idea from your wife, how you guys got into it. So I guess I'll ask, what made you pick that character? Why did you want to be Bucky?
Well, Bucky doesn't speak a lot.
Okay.
So, I'm pretty laid back, but once that mask goes on, and in the comic books, Bucky and Black Widow, they just go hand in hand.
Yep.
So from there, it's not a lot of foam. My wife does all the sewing, so this is something she can put together.
Awesome. Yeah, Cap wouldn't be half the hero he is without either one of you. I just want to state that for the record. Well, I guess I'll kind of address this to both of you since I didn't ask Amanda, but Tom, how would you say is the best way for people to get involved, to give back? And Amanda, you can also chime in on this as well.
I think they just need to take the first step. If you have a passion to help kids, and you're just going to do it for an hour, because it's a lot of time consuming behind the scenes, getting your suit together. And then, even if the event's 2 hours long, you got travel time, prep. Right. So, but the bottom line is after it's finished, you just feel so accomplished that you put a smile on kids' faces.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Tom, do you have any specific instance or anything that's like that stood out for you as Winter Soldier, interaction you had with the kid? Anything like that?
Definitely. Being like Winter Soldier, being with a mask, there's always arts and crafts or some cookie making event. So basically I have to go like into the crowd of these crafts and talk to the person running it, and not directly at the kids right away, because I have a whole mask on. Okay. Don't want to scare them. But by the end of the night, they're putting stars on their faces, or they're making cookies with a red star.
Hey.
Yeah, but the funniest thing was once do my round and I hear these boys, "Hey, Bucky," and their sister is horrified. And the dad's like, "Come here, Bucky, come on, take a seat." And the fact that the whole family got involved to humiliate their sister. And so I'm just sitting down, she's just embarrassed to all ends. And that I think that was so funny.
Oh yeah. And then when they get embarrassed, you gotta lean into the slide and make it so much worse for them. Yep.
That's what you do.
Awesome. Hey guys, I appreciate it.
Myself, as well as most people that I know that do this sort of thing, it starts with the costuming. It starts by going, and the same for me, it started by going to comic conventions. San Diego Comic-Con was my first. I go to as many conventions in Southern California as I can possibly attend. And then after going a couple years, I started costuming. And the more I costumed, the more I enjoyed it. And then because there's so many conventions in Southern California, you end up seeing the same people and staying in touch on social media. And then some people eventually asked me if I wanted to do charitable work, and of course I wanted to, and it's the most rewarding costuming that I do, is charity. We do all kinds of charity events, hospital visits, fundraisers, any place where they need costumers. You do have to have a Marvel costume to enter, but a lot of our events, we bring Marvel, DC, Star Wars characters, Disney princesses, all that stuff.
The better we cope, the better we heal. And the more joy we bring into our life, it's going to increase that healing, which is exactly what Avengers Initiative does for our pediatric patients and their families. They bring an additional joy to just kind of support and enhance that coping.
Hospitals themselves are so strict in bringing on people into visiting patients that when I heard somebody, interested in coming to see the patients, I was really taken back because I wasn't sure what to expect. And once they came to the hospital, it was like, like a 180. I don't know. It was just so nice to see what they did for our patients.
Afterwards, a lot of times we'll get together for dinner. We're covered in sweat, we're dirty, we're hungry. We'll take off our costumes, we'll go somewhere close by to eat, and we stopped at a burger shop. And we were just talking about how great it went and how we did, and there just happened to be a woman at the next table that works at the hospital we just came from. She had just gotten off and she was having dinner. And she chimed in and said, I want to thank you for what you did today, because she said these kids, even though you spend 5 or 10 minutes with each one, they talk about it for weeks. This really affects them.
So there's something about seeing those faces, the kids just embracing that interaction and bringing something to them that they might not normally be able to have. So it's very valuable for me personally, and I think for most people that do it.
It's the joy that you guys bring, those smiles that you bring not only to the patients and then to the children, but when parents see their child be normal again, be themselves. It's uplifting for those parents who feel like they can't bring any normalcy to this life, but it's the first time where a child can say, hey, they're here for me. There's even studies that just a superhero stance, it brings self-confidence and a sense of power to children. So just kind of bringing that to the environment and having children stand in that superhero stance can actually make them feel stronger and like a hero.
It gives you a sense of there being more beyond your daily little trivial problems that you might have, and it kind of gives you a renewed sense of reality.
I'm an electrical engineer and I fix lab equipment. Pretty boring stuff. And I don't get to dress like this either.
There are many great volunteer groups, but if you want more information on West Coast Avengers, log on to AvengersHQ.com.
So what I'm going to do now is that I want to open it up to all the panelists, and you can go one at a time if we've got multiple answers. But obviously, we all know that COVID has really kind of killed cosplay. We haven't been able to in-person visits. It's just made things really hard. I don't think put on my Cap costume in a couple months, and it's a bummer. And I imagine some of you guys have the same situations as I do. Has there been any situations or instances where you were able to still give back or volunteer? An example, like I did a thing where I dressed up as Captain America and I read a little short story. I read the Corduroy book from when you were a kid. I read it and I posted it on YouTube. I know there's been other people who've done similar things, but if there's anything any of you guys have done, I would love to hear it now. Does anybody have anything?
I did a couple of events for one of my friends. She has a business where she entertains kids, and it has been tough. Definitely using the online platform. But one thing we did recently was we did a Zoom chat with a group of kids that it was like a employee party, but they invited the kids because you're at home. Right. And I dressed up as Miles, and she dressed up as Spider-Gwen. And we're literally in character. We kept them entertained. We had them scavenger hunt, go find your toothbrush, go find a brush. And it was cool seeing the kids run to their room, come back. First one to have that, we had a Q&A and staying in character. I was able to bring my my gauntlet and show that. So we went over all the stones, and that was cool. So just a way to engage them. I've also done a couple of birthday parties. I usually do them for free for the friends that I know. And I've done those, but it's really short. Sometimes you got to keep it to like just a drive-by because of the duration you want to be around the children. Right. Probably like 10, 15 minutes. But it was nice to put the suit back on. Also, everybody in quarantine gains a little weight, so I had to make sure that I'm Spidey fit. So I couldn't eat all the good stuff because I knew that the suit totally accentuates your lines. And it was just trying to keep in shape and just be ready. Like sometimes you just want to pull the suit out, but You just got to be ready whenever the time comes. So just online platforms, and then just drive-bys and little video messages to kids from their parents. It's pretty cool. My friends say, hey, I know Spider-Man, so I could get him on the phone. So when the kids aren't doing good in school or they need a little pep talk, they'll call me and I'll go in character and I'll help out the parents. So that's kind of been one of the outlets.
That's awesome, man. All right. Who else was next? All right. Tom Marshall, you're up.
Yeah, same as a lot of people. I did a video, Spider-Man Noir, for a boy's birthday, and wishing him happy birthday. And then his little sister wanted to be involved too, so included her too by name. But the biggest thing was involved in a TikTok mashup thing we did for the Sci-Fi Coalition, where we did the object, went from one screen to the next screen.
Okay.
And I did Endgame Cap, and what we did was Mjolnir, the hammer, was flying at me as I was walking away in civilian clothes, and then I turned around, and then the camera went right onto the hammer. And then when it panned back away, then I was in my Endgame Cap uniform, and then came back at the camera with my shield, and then it went to the next character. So we were passing it on all the way through. It came out great. It's on YouTube. You can see it, the Sci-Fi Coalition 2020 mashup. But last weekend, I finally got to do Endgame Cap at a charity function for Miracle Babies down in San Diego, and it was in a parking lot. We did 850 families and greeted the children, by social distancing with masks on and gloves, waving at them in the cars, and they were taking pictures. And so it was the best thing, I was able to do in like a whole year. Finally got to be able to do something, and improvising that, it worked out very well. I think the families really enjoyed it, and then all of us that have not been able to engage in over a year or almost a year, it was satisfying.
That's actually a really awesome idea, doing that little parking lot drive-by. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate it. All right. Anybody else have a story for us? Go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I've done, I think I've lost count how many Corona Storytime videos I've recorded.
Awesome.
And birthday videos and, little shout outs. And I've done them as not only as Black Widow, but when we did our October virtual pediatric service, I put my Sarah Sanderson on and read Halloween stories. So that was kind of fun with mop in hand.
Nice.
My spring birthday stories. When I do birthdays for little girls, I put my Elsa on, and I have the Elsa, Frozen Fever story.
Okay.
That's about Anna's birthday. And we'll do birthday videos. And then we did one in the Black Widow group. We did a TikTok where we did Black Widow Fight Club.
Everybody is more hip on TikTok than I am. I apparently need to get caught up.
Well, I admin the Black Widow group, so.
Okay.
When one of the girls from Spain was like, we have to do this. And she said, you are involved this time. No more ducking out. And I went, fine. Okay, I'll do it. So I caught Mjolnir like hella, flipped it, pulled the lightning, slammed it, and then knocked the next girl into her pond.
I've just downloaded TikTok probably a week ago, and I'm over here like Cap. I'm like, oh, internet, so helpful. It's like, what? Okay. All right. All right.
16-year-old Jeff, she'll get you all hooked up.
Oh, don't rush me, please. All right, Tony, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, you did.
All right.
So it's pretty much just alike with everyone else. The same thing with sending out some greetings for birthdays and some well wishes. One of the other ones that happened was that my patient's mother, who knows that I cosplay, actually reached out to me, and she's like, hey, we were hoping we can get some stories read for our elementary school. Would you mind doing that? I was like, sure, I can do that. Do you just need one or do you need multiple? She's like, multiple would be great. So I just started making some phone calls, and a lot of my friends who are cosplayers actually helped to chip in because they were all aching to do something, and that was a good outlet too.
Definitely understand that feeling. I also have I have a little thing to admit. I don't know if you guys are guilty of this, but doing especially like birthday videos, just like dressed up from the waist up, and then just film it, and then I don't know if that's just me, but I definitely do not put on the whole costume, and I feel kind of bad about it. So
We won't say anything.
I appreciate that.
Keep it a secret.
All right, guys. So with that, I think that is all the questions I have for you guys. I appreciate you all taking the time. I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to Jeannie, and will take us out.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeff. I want to tell everybody thank you very much for all of your participation, all of the panelists. Everyone has done such excellent work, and I couldn't be prouder of everyone here. I wanted to thank Jeff for your assistance, your cosplay, as well as being the co-moderator for the panel.
My pleasure.
I wanted thank you, and I wanted to tell Tony thank you so much for being not only a medical professional but also assisting the panel, as well as your excellent work as cosplayer. I wanted to tell Tom Marshall, thank you so much for your help as well with the group and your assistance with the Avengers Initiative. And I want to also tell Marco, thank you so much as well for everything and for all of you done. And as well as Amanda and Tom as well, thank you so much for all of your participation and your support with us. In closing statements, I'm going to be posting after this session information regarding the group, more information about the Avengers Initiative, our social media information, as well as if you want to contact for any assistance, any help, any volunteer, any service work, or even just information on what we're all about. It will be posted at the end of this video, as well as all of the other panelists' information will be posted as well. If anyone have any questions, please don't hesitate to go to our website, and we'll be around as well as Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, everybody, for participating.